Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always good to be back.
Have you ever bitten into something way too hot and thought, well, there go my taste buds?
Oh, yeah. Been there.
I know I've been there. But what about those times when it feels like your taste buds are staging a full-on revolt for, seemingly no reason?
Happens all the time.
Turns out, more of us have been there than you might think. It's surprisingly common. And today we're going beyond that initial burn to really understand what's going on with those tiny sensors on our tongues.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point because as common as it is, most people don't really think about their taste buds until something feels off.
Exactly. So today, we're arming you with the knowledge to not only decode what's happening when those taste buds get irritated, but also what you can do about it and when it might be time to call in the pros.
I like that decode what's happening because it really is like our bodies are sending us signals and it's up to us to figure out what they mean.
It totally is. So let's start with the basics. We all know taste buds are essential for enjoying our food, but have you ever considered how they protect us too?
That's right. I mean, they're constantly on defense screening everything we put in our mouths. Each tiny taste bud is packed with up to 100 cells that not only help us detect those five basic flavors, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, but also act as our first line of defense against harmful substances.
Wait, so they're like tiny little bodyguards for our tongues. How does that even work?
You could say that. Basically, when those taste bud cells detect something potentially harmful, they can trigger a whole cascade of responses. For example, they can tell your brain, hey, this is dangerous, time to spit this out, or even activate your gag reflex.
Wow, that's amazing. So they're constantly on high alert. It's no wonder they get a little inflamed sometimes.
Precisely. And here's the thing. They're also constantly regenerating, which is pretty remarkable. Those cells actually replace themselves every 8 to 12 days.
Oh, that's right. I remember reading that. So even if you burn your tongue on that piping hot pizza, those taste buds are tough. They'll bounce back in no time.
Exactly. They're designed to withstand a lot. But of course, there are times when those taste buds need a little extra TLC.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So we know hot food is a culprit. But what else is lurking out there to wreak havoc on our tongues?
You'd be surprised. It's not just what you eat, but how you eat it. Even your own teeth can be the culprit. A sharp tooth or dental appliances can rub against your tongue, causing inflammation.
Well, that's good to know. I guess I'll be taking extra care of my teeth from now on. Speaking of things we may love to hate, anyone else get those painful bumps after a particularly spicy bowl of chili?
Happens to me every time.
Or is that just me?
You're definitely not alone. Spicy and acidic foods are definitely high on the list of usual suspects. We're talking hot peppers, citrus fruits, even those super sour candies.
Interesting. So it's not just the temperature, it's the actual content of those foods that can irritate our taste buds.
Exactly. And while most of the time these things are temporary and resolve on their own, there are some other surprising culprits and more serious situations we should talk about too.
Well, then let's get to it. What else should we be aware of?
Let's take a look at some of those underlying causes, because it's not always as simple as, like, I ate something too spicy. We'll get into those right after a quick break.
And we're back. Before the break, we were diving deep into the surprising world of swollen taste buds, uncovering everything from scorching hot pizza to the unexpected ways our own teeth can cause trouble.
And we're not done yet. Because, as we were saying, sometimes those swollen taste buds can be a sign of something a bit more complex than just our food choices.
Right, it's like our bodies are trying to tell us something.
Exactly. So let's talk about allergies and food sensitivities. It's not just about the temperature or texture of what we consume, but how our bodies react to it.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's the connection between allergies and our taste buds?
Well, certain foods, medications, even environmental allergens can trigger an inflammatory response in some people. And, you guessed it, that inflammation can show up as swollen taste buds, among other symptoms.
Oh, wow. So it's like our taste buds are sending up a flare saying, hey, pay attention, something's not quite right here.
Precisely. It's their way of getting our attention. And speaking of things that might already be hanging out in our mouths causing trouble, have you ever considered that a simple cold or virus could be the culprit?
Wait, really? So those little bumps on my tongue could be a sign of something bigger going on.
It's possible. The research you shared mentioned bacterial or viral infections as potential culprits for swollen taste buds. Things like strep throat, for example, or even just a common cold can cause inflammation and discomfort.
Wow, I had no idea. I'm starting to realize our taste buds are like tiny little watchdogs, Always on the lookout and reporting on what's happening in our bodies.
That's a great way to put it. They are incredibly sensitive to changes in our internal environment, which
Mm.
is why paying attention to them is so important. And while we're on the topic of things that can impact our mouths, have you ever heard of GRD?
GRT. Is that like a bad 80s hair metal band? Because I'm getting some serious headbanger vibes right now.
Not quite. Though I appreciate the enthusiasm, GRD stands for gastroesophageal reflux disease, and it's more common than you might think.
Okay, so what exactly ISGERD and what does it have to do with swollen taste buds?
Well, GRD is when stomach acid flows back up into the esophagus. That's the tube that connects your mouth to your stomach. You might know it as heartburn.
Okay, I've definitely heard of heartburn. So are you saying that stomach acid can actually reach our mouths? That sounds incredibly unpleasant.
It's true, and it can be pretty uncomfortable. Sometimes that stomach acid makes its way all the way up and can come into contact with your tongue, causing irritation, and, you guessed it, those swollen taste buds.
Wow, I had no idea. This is definitely making me rethink that late night spicy pizza habit. But while we're talking about things that can irritate our mouths, we should probably address the elephant in the room, or should I say the cigarette in the...
Oh.
Do you get the picture?
Ah, yes. Smoking. It's a major culprit for a whole host of health issues, and swollen taste buds are no exception.
It's like those public service announcements always say, smoking, it's bad for you.
It really is. And one of the reasons is that cigarettes contain a ton of chemicals that irritate the delicate tissues in our mouths, including, of course, our taste buds.
So not only does smoking dull your sense of taste, it can also make your taste buds inflamed. Talk about a double whammy.
Unfortunately, that's the reality. But the good news is that quitting smoking can significantly improve both your oral health and your overall well-being, which includes those taste buds making a comeback.
That's good to hear. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from spicy foods to allergies to even smoking. It seems like there's so many things that can impact our taste buds.
There are, and it's a good reminder that those little guys are working hard for us every day. But don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom. There are plenty of things we can do to protect our taste buds and even soothe them when they're feeling irritated. We'll dive into all of that after a quick break.
And we are back, ready to explore some ways to, I don't know, give our taste buds some much-needed TLC.
For sure.
Because let's be real, who wants to live in a world where we can't enjoy our favorite flavors?
Absolutely. Luckily, there's a lot we can do. Knowing what causes those taste bud troubles is half the battle. Now let's empower you with ways to prevent and treat them.
Okay, that sounds much better than just accepting a life of bland food and missed culinary adventures. So where do we start?
Well, good oral hygiene is absolutely key. That means brushing twice a day, flossing regularly, you know the drill.
Okay, no problem there. Brushing and flossing are already a part of my routine.
Great. And don't underestimate the power of regular dental checkups either. Catching things early is key when it comes to oral health and could head off those swollen taste buds at the pass.
Good point. So good hygiene check. Anything else we can do to keep those taste buds happy?
Absolutely. Remember how we talked about dry mouth being a potential culprit? Staying hydrated is huge. And if you're a mouth breather, no judgment. Try to focus on breathing through your nose as much as possible.
Got it. Water bottle at the ready, nasal breathing activated. But what about those times when the damage is already done? Say you had like one too many jalapeno poppers last night. Any quick fixes?
You bet. Don't underestimate the power of simple home remedies. A warm saltwater rinse can work wonders for soothing inflammation, and it's super easy to do.
You know what? My grandmother used to swear by warm salt water for, like, just about everything.
It's amazing.
Turns out she was onto something.
She probably was. Rinsing with warm salt water can help to cleanse the area and reduce swelling. Another classic is sucking on an ice cube. The cold can help numb the pain and reduce inflammation.
I'm sensing a theme here. Keeping things clean and cool is key.
Exactly. And if you're dealing with congestion, those mentholated sugar-free candies can be helpful too. Just be sure to choose the sugar-free kind to avoid further irritating your mouth.
Right. Got to protect those taste buds. So we've covered prevention, home remedies, but what about those times when it's, like, more serious? When is it time to call in the professionals?
Right.
Like, when do we actually need to go to the doctor for this?
Yeah, so most of the time, swollen taste buds will resolve themselves within a week or two. But here's the thing. Ignoring persistent symptoms can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, not the kind of recipe I'm interested in trying.
Exactly. So if you notice any red flags like spots on your tongue that last more than 2 weeks, or if the pain is really impacting your quality of life, it's time to see a doctor.
Makes sense. What kind of doctor do we even see for our tongues? Asking for a friend.
Sure. Your primary care physician is a great place to start. They can examine your mouth, take a look at your medical history, and if needed, they might refer you to an ear, nose, and throat specialist or ENT for further evaluation.
Good to know. And I'm guessing they might try to, figure out what's causing the swelling in the first place?
Precisely. They might run some tests to check for things like infections, vitamin deficiencies, or allergies, depending on your symptoms.
So it's not just about treating the symptoms, it's about getting to the root of the problem.
You got it. It's all about understanding the bigger picture.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've learned so much about those tiny but mighty taste buds.
They really are amazing.
They're like the unsung heroes of our mouths, constantly battling it out with spicy foods, acidic drinks, and even the common cold, all while making sure we can still enjoy our favorite flavors.
And let's not forget their role in keeping us safe from harmful substances.
So true, but here's something to chew on, and this comes straight from the research you shared. Apparently, our taste buds can actually become less sensitive over time.
It's true.
What implications might this have on our diets and enjoyment of food as we age?
That is a fascinating question. It makes you wonder how our relationship with food might evolve as our senses change.
That's definitely food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the surprisingly complex world of swollen taste buds. Until next time, stay curious and remember to be kind to your taste buds. They're doing a lot more than you might think.